Before we start today, guys, I've got a little word from the people of Fridge. Welcome to the quaint little town of Fridge. We don't have guns, but not to worry. We have state-of-the-art trap defense systems so comfortable your enemies will never want to leave. We even have an enchanted forest conveniently placed by our ever-growing tourist attraction, all thanks to the effective medical response team. And remember, if they don't make it in time, you crash too far away. So if you like good food, wide open spaces and making new friends, perhaps friendly animals that you can pet from a distance, then come and visit Fridge today. Okay guys, so I just wanted to take a moment at the start of the video to basically go over the rules of the challenge so far. So we are doing a no guns challenge, and what that means is we're not allowed to use guns, we're not allowed to use turrets, and we're not really allowed to use things like mortars either. Other things that I've got in the DLC are absolutely fine, but today I thought I'd do a bit more of an introduction. I've been working on my editing and I've been building up to better quality videos for you guys to enjoy. So today we are going to be pushing through and we are going to be moving into the mountain, or starting to hollow out the mountain and building ourselves a giant mountain base. So this was a really fun stream so far, and remember, sorry, not stream, I am streaming again, but that's not what I meant. We are having good fun on this series so far. So this is episode 5 in the series, and what we're going to be doing is we are going to be moving inside the mountain using nothing but bows and arrows, whilst also keeping us safe. And I think, just a little bit, you guys will enjoy the episode that we've been kind of preparing, or I've been preparing today. Okay, so here we go. Let's see how we get on. The Mountain Base No Guns Challenge, episode 5. So you can see where we're at the beginning, and hopefully, you'll see a huge improvement by the time we get to the end of this episode. So, for those of you that haven't been here for a while, let me catch you up, okay? We have been in a bit of a battle. We started with the tribal start, and even with that tribal start, with 5 people, we have none of the original colonists. They are gone, okay? Sriracha is probably the oldest member we've got, followed by Ranch, and then Broccoli. Okay, and Sriracha is a really good character when it comes to kind of building and defense, Ranch for crafting, and Broccoli for planting. At the end of the last episode, we were in kind of dire straits. Huge fire wiped out a huge portion of the base, and we ended up being in a position where I didn't really know what to do. I actually didn't think I was going to make it. So this was really good fun to kind of plan out what we're going to do next. And the idea was, why don't I start thinking about moving into the mountain and becoming as self-sufficient as possible. So what I was thinking is we need to start by replacing as much of the kind of outer wood section that we've got as quickly as possible. Fire was too much of a risk, and I didn't really want to risk it, if I'm honest. It seemed a bit silly. We did try and save a few people as we went. I was thinking about potentially getting more colonists in to help us with the movement. However, by the time I'd finished looking at them, they had died. Slightly unfortunate, but what are you going to do? It's Rimworld, right? So they wouldn't have made it across the map in time, playing on an extra large map. And luckily, 2 of our colonists, Sriracha and Broccoli, decided to, be really good friends, which meant that I had extra space. We have been taking on quests, so just ones that I think were manageable at the time. It's a good way to get resources we can't normally find, and it also means that there's also the potential people can join us when we do a quest. So I felt that this was a really good opportunity. That's who that little guy is in the prison there, Jace. Jace's prison barracks. Jace is a guy that we're holding on to, and I can't really remember what we were supposed to get after, but we will see. We had him for a little while, but I decided we're going to expand the prison out. I felt that one of the best ways to recruit people was going to be recruiting them against their will. So yeah, that was kind of the plan. But I started blocking things out. I started thinking about how are we going to build this up? What's going to be the best course of action? These guys were pretty good when it came to food. I kind of kept simple meals at maybe like 75, I think it was, 100. And we just kept getting food. For those of you that are kind of new to playing Rimworld, removing the roof through the architect and orders panel is a really great way to grow things kind of inside. I suppose it's just having a walled compound, but use the roofing to cover different portions like the table and the cooking areas and stuff, and you avoid a few problems, which is quite good. So I came up with a really simple design. I kind of was thinking of like the dwarves in Lord of the Rings, personally, like the giant halls and holds that they have, and I thought that would be a really nice way to basically build up a internal kind of building. I thought that'd be really exciting. So, you know, I desperately wanted to protect the 3 colonists that I had, you know, Sriracha, Ranch and Broccoli, and you know, they are a dramatic trio, so you will see more of that as we go. But primarily, you know, it was a bit of a mission, this one, and you're going to see exactly why as we go through. But basically, you know, I was just working on rebuilding at this point. You know, I started laying out the foundations, started rebuilding, and essentially had this idea of, you know, a couple of rooms at the front. Potentially I was going to make them medical bays and things like that with sterile flooring later on once we'd researched it. I wanted a large crafting area opposite a large storage area. And we do start thinking about how we're going to add more stuff to that later on, but for the time being we were just making the most out of building little rooms. I always like having kind of little guest quarters. I like having prison rooms, things like that, just to make sure that when we have opportunities we can actually take people on. You know, there's nothing worse when you kind of build 3 rooms and then all of a sudden you realize I needed more than 3 rooms because now 5 people are coming to visit, and 3 of them are going to join me, and then everyone's unhappy and you get big break risks and things like that. So we had lots of little wildlife visits throughout this playthrough so far. So we've had all kinds of things. It was actually a mad bison that pushed us over the edge in the last one, which was a bit of a, you know, a tricky situation to be in. But we were kind of getting better at managing the wildlife as they were coming through. We were getting pretty successful at hunting. So I started thinking about these larger rooms and what they could entail, and I kind of want the room at the back to be almost like a rec room, somewhere that people can go to relax and play. Although depending on how much people are enjoying this series, I've not actually investigated much of the kind of ideology pack or the biotech pack, which I do have. So I was thinking about potentially trying to get one of the colonists up to sort of like yeoman or something like that. I thought would be quite exciting. Now, we are the town of Fridge, we are the condiment crew, so I needed to make sure that we had an impressive fridge. So I started actually making sure that we had shelving in there. It was becoming a little bit frustrating having everything just piled on the floor. I cannot stand it, it makes my skin itch. So I decided that I would start putting shelving in just to make storage a little bit easier. And, you know, we were doing quite well. We were getting raided, but not by too many people. Not like when we had like 6 or 7 colonists. It wasn't too bad. And what I was aiming to do, because we are going to struggle with a really aggressive playthrough without guns and things like that, I started thinking about, well, how do I start building better relationships with people. So my thought was, if I start healing people and then releasing them, that would go a long way to helping us secure a more sort of like, I suppose, better relationship. We'd get raided less, which meant that we'd be in the position of power. So later down the line, if we do make a bigger mountain colony and we want to go out and raid and attack people, we can be a lot more selective in who we attack and who we wage war with, which I thought would be a little bit more fun, because at the moment they were just sending singular sordid people of the night at us, which is what that lizard guy's profession was, which was different. Yeah, wasn't expecting that on a Wednesday night when I was recording this. So off he goes, off he pops off into the distance. It was really exciting to do something nice for someone. We still had Jace in the background. I think it was like a 20-day holding on sort of mission, and we were doing quite well. The exception being that Broccoli was now pregnant. Now, in one of the earlier playthroughs, Pepper and Salt were going to have a baby, and Pepper unfortunately died in a raid alongside Salt that wiped out essentially all of the colony. We only had Ranch and Sriracha for a little while. We only got Broccoli in the last video, which made a really big difference to how we were going to play through. And I was sort of thinking about longevity, right? How are we going to keep these guys alive, keep them happy, stop them doing what happened last time when everyone attacked? And that is sustainable growth. Something that I will not stick to by the end of this video, but sustainable growth is what I want you to picture in your minds at the moment. Okay, we're going to do it slow and steady, so we build clothes and we get ourselves ready. But we managed to send Jace off, and we got something or other, Coleman. That was it. That's why I did it. By holding on to Jace, we managed to get Coleman join us, which made a really big difference. And as you can see here, Sriracha was doing a really, really good job of starting to push through and break through the mountainside to build our giant volcano layer. No, it's probably not a volcano. I hope it's not a volcano. So Coleman was a really easy one to name, in my opinion, because Coleman sounded like coleslaw, and I thought that would be probably the best name. They were pretty good at a few things, like planting, crafting, cooking, so that really helped out. And it freed us up a little bit. It freed us up enough that we could start basically polishing the walls, building extra things, moving things around, and essentially move stuff more safely. The idea being that I didn't want to be in a position again where a raid completely destroyed us. So my thought was, I will have the storeroom at the front, and if I ever have to fall back, I can have big doors and reinforce stuff, and eventually they'll go away because they'll take what they want and then they'll bugger off. Hopefully. We will see if that even works. But in the meantime, I was kind of using any of the rooms as bedrooms, if that makes sense. I wanted everyone to have a bit of space, and to keep them as happy as possible so they didn't have to share rooms. And just like one of our earlier videos, I think it's the second video, maybe it's the third, we had another attack from some particularly vicious chickens that we had to deflect, and we got to a point where we could actually start making art, which is not something I thought we'd be able to do. From the tribal start to where we are now, I feel like we were really starting to recover, and really starting to build back up for this episode, which is going to make the next one even more exciting when we push through and go and start actually moving everything, finish polishing up everything, and move through. But you'll see what I'm talking about as we get close to the end. But at the moment, they were chipping away, they were breaking through things, and Broccoli gave birth in the fastest fashion possible. I got the notification, and then the child was born. And I don't know if that's because she's got a really high medical skill and she took care of herself. But anyway, Couldn't leave the baby there, had a crib set up already, so sent Coleman to go and grab the baby and put it somewhere safe. And it was good, but this always precedes, the babies in this game are like an omen, always precedes something dangerous happening, and I was wrong, which was fun. These two caravan bison wandered in and they had some pretty good stuff, I have to admit, and we chased them down and they were defeated, and look, it's like a piñata, they just boop, and then we get all the prizes. It was great. So much so Broccoli went for round 2 with the other one, but thankfully outspeeded it quite well. We've come a long way from, losing to, or being nearly wiped out by a singular bison with like 6 people. We're finally getting to a point where with the 4 people we had, we were able to comfortably take out slightly more challenging prey, which in my opinion makes the game that a little bit easier and a little bit more interesting, because I also think as we get better at taking these guys out and we get stronger, we're probably going to start seeing more challenging raids, and the trap defense system, as basic as it was working. They were not surviving against us. Their terrible fashion sense could not assault us anymore. It was brilliant. I was really excited. This is probably the best I've ever done in a Rimworld playthrough so far, so I was quite happy to be kind of like, helping people, letting them go. This one though, I was going to recruit them. However, they had unwavering loyalty, which is not a trait I've ever seen before, so they couldn't actually be broken. Now, another tip for those of you playing, okay, read your notifications on the right hand side, because I kept thinking that lightning just really liked striking that one spot and I couldn't understand it. No, I'd just forgotten to extend the roof, and when it rains and you have an electric item and you haven't extended the roof, you get explosions. It all makes a lot of sense, right? So anyway, this raid was a challenging one. Now, I didn't think it was going to be a challenging one, because we had Neanderthals with guns and clubs, and I wasn't particularly too worried, and I was training Coleslaw up to be a good melee fighter and thought, hey, they're going to be absolutely fine. They're really strong, they're good at using melee weapons, nothing bad could happen to this person in particular, not like they would swing at the last moment, killing their enemy and themselves. But we had a beautiful ceremony that cheered everyone up somehow, which I suppose softens the blow a little bit. Ranch gave some beautiful words and then proceeded to bury a pig person. It was very emotional. I was touched. But yeah, so after that happened, we were set back a little bit again, but as you can see, we had some really nice progress being made. Slowly we were chipping forward, we were building better things. Look at this, shelves, my favourite thing. We had lots of them. I was very excited, I'm not going to lie. And luckily we had another quest come through, okay, and this quest gave me the option to have someone who was a digger, and I thought to myself, hang on a minute, if this person is a digger, potentially they might be good at digging. This playthrough is going to require a lot of digging, so I accepted the quest and I went for it. But in the interim, I needed more people, so we were attacked by some wolf people. I don't really know the races in this game very well, but they were like a wolf person, not a cat person, a dog person, I don't know, a Wookiee. I was attacked by the Wookiees, and I needed to keep him alive, and I wanted to recruit him. Sorry, yes, it's a her, I forgot. They have beards, it threw me off. So, had to recruit her, and, they weren't the best, but they had pretty good melee, They were good at planting, they were good at hunting. So I felt like as a cook and melee fighter, they would actually be a really good interim. And, you know, we just kept getting lucky. So we were looking after someone to get the digger character later down the line, and then we were given the opportunity to get an infinite chem fuel reactor, as well as we were going to essentially get raided in 3 days. So we got these two kind of like scrappers. So I thought to myself, well, do you know what, if we're going to get raided, I don't know if it's going to be dropship, but it's 3 stars. So I thought, you know what, we'll build a wall down the bottom. And it was great. If you look at the fridge, you can see there's tons of meat. That's because animals kept walking through and into the traps. And we were lucky enough to have Naba and trying to remember the other guy's name. We'll see it in a bit. But they were both really good at mining. So they really helped us power through and start laying down some of the foundations. Ergo was just pretty much in the way. Naba and Squid were at least helping, but Ergo, because he was on a cultural visit, wouldn't lift a finger to help any of us. However, Naba was a problem. If you can't tell why, you're not reading well enough. Okay? So, we managed to get through and mine out the base. Now came the fun part. The longest part that I was waiting for ages. And I'm going to do a spoiler. I don't care. We do not finish it in this episode. That is for the next episode, because for whatever reason, the ability to smooth things takes a small slice of eternity. But we decided that we were going to defend ourselves against these pig people, and I thought, we'll be fine. There's only 2 of them. Oh, there was only 2 of them, with a ridiculous gun I've never seen before. And that, folks, was the end of Sriracha. Sriracha was gone. Squid and Ranch, Broccoli and Engo all went to the funeral, and it was lackluster. So, you know, it was a bit disappointing. Really strong character. Brio's father gone. You know, Broccoli and him were on the ropes anyway. They were sleeping in separate rooms. But it's not the point. The point is, you know, it puts us down to essentially 2 people once the quest is over. However, the quest should have been over, but the quest wasn't over. So as frustrating as it is, I wasn't getting my infinite chem reactor. It seems that I also had these 2 people in the background, which was quite exciting. So we had some other quests come up that were really good. Murderous Beagles, and we won. We decisively defeated the Murderous Beagles. However, they launched a counter-attack in the dead of night, and unfortunately they floored Naba. However, our new character, our prisoner that we had before, now recruited, they were brilliant. They came in to save the day. Yays, they were called at the time. And they fought the beagle with their bare hands, no weapon, just boof, done. So they earned their name. They were going to become Lays. Basically walkers, if you're in England. However, Yays and Lays was closer. So Naba went insane, and I charged everyone in, and just to show how strong Lays was, 1 punch. That was it. So we started researching plate armor. Okay, and we were trying to coach Naba through whatever was going on, just in case these raiders decided to show up the next time I loaded the game. I kind of wanted to make sure that we were safe. Our power problems were a problem. We had researched solar panels, so we started building solar panels. The idea was I would eventually get something or figure something out to defend them. Luckily, Engo was gone. He was annoying, and I didn't like him. He was a kleptomaniac, so he kept stealing stuff. It wasn't very fun. But we were doing quite well at this point. We had a few people on the go. We had our digging character now as well, so that would help. And it meant that if these other 2 did end up leaving, we now had 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the baby. But then this happened. So these visitors wanted help, and I thought, I have so much building to do, I'm gonna take them. So I built them some luxurious accommodation, and I expanded this even more, and essentially we started growing our lair, and it got bigger a bit. Sorry, not lair. Yeah, I didn't mean to say lair. We started growing our base of friendship. That's what we're going to go with, and we're not going to warp and distort this at all. It's not going to become a problem. It's going to be something very inviting. And we, so we had all these people join, but we needed clothes for the kid because he grew up and there was nothing. So we started making new things. And it was going quite well. Okay, it wasn't going too bad. I didn't know what they needed. So I built everything until they were attacked by squirrels. Now, as you can see, they're alive, they're okay. So we sent his mother down to rescue Brio, or as I'm going to call them in the next episode, Brioche. But then I didn't realise the squirrels could scale the wall. That's what happened. I didn't even realise it was the squirrels until I checked later. So the 3 squirrels started mauling Broccoli, and Broccoli managed to defeat one of them. And luckily we had like 20 people or something ridiculous. So they all charged in and Ranch missed, but then everyone else just started taking care of business. So our newfound friends, although they're only staying for a little while, they managed to help us out quite a bit. So that was very exciting. So we were in a good position. We were doing really well. Research was being done, clothes were being made, the base was being hollowed out, and for the first time in 5 episodes, things seemed to be going well. Or I like to think they were going well. Everything was coming together. We were slowly smoothing everything out. It was starting to look absolutely beautiful. We were going to dig all the way through and get something looking absolutely amazing. It almost felt too good to be true. It almost felt like something was going to go wrong. But I wasn't quite sure at this point. I couldn't quite figure it out. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But something was coming. I could feel it, The base was looking good. And we had started researching things like ballista, But something, somewhere, was going to go wrong, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then we got this: people wanting money to keep us safe from any threats that may also come from themselves. And after I said I was going to refuse the offer, well, they seemed very happy about it. So that's where we're going to leave the episode today. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate all of your support. It's absolutely fantastic. And frankly, if you guys would like to if you'd like to subscribe, that's brilliant. But if not, do you know what? If you've just watched it and you've enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Are you enjoying this series? And did you enjoy the format of the video today? Because this was a bit different for me. But I enjoyed it. So hopefully I'll find that you guys did too.